Test 1, 2, 3. Okay. That works. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay.
Shut.
Apparently.
We're live on somewhere. Let me not spoil it. Marsha just texted me and said, like, you're live. Okay, so I wonder, okay, let's, yeah, but it's still way too loud. Yes, it's just way too loud. Let me see if I set it on here. Let me see if I set it on here if it's bad. Mic check, mic check. Is that too loud? No? Okay. We'll just set it on the podium, it'll be okay. Thank you.
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing mic 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Very good. All right. All right. Thank you very much, good sir. All right. Bye-bye.
in the front. All right. I think that's great. Okay, thanks, sir.
Good.
Yeah.
So
You can, yeah.
The admin team is coming up.
Huh?
The admin team is coming up.
Oh, good.
Here they are.
Okay. Okay, let them tuck in. And if we need some more chairs, we'll have to get. Yeah. Yeah. No, we're good.
All right, good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. I'd like to just take care of a few formalities before we begin the substance of the conference. This is my new special assistant to the superintendent for communications and community relations. That's Mr. Kriner Barnes, one of Buffalo's very own, and you will be communicating with him from now on, replacing our very excellent and dear colleague for so many years, Miss Eleanor Calla. Okay? Mr. Kriner Barnes. Colleagues, I saw this as an opportunity this afternoon following the press conference that was held this morning by our Mayor, Byron Brown, and our district attorney, Mr. Flynn. It seemed to me, in listening to that press conference, that if I then came with a subsequent press conference to allow you to hear what our plans are for McKinley High School, and as well as what we do every day to ensure that our children and our schools are safe. And then, of course, I'll give you a chance to have your questions. And I thought that can be done all in one day before we get to the weekend so that we can go on and continue our planning for the week ahead. Now, with me are some very special guests this afternoon, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce them. And I'm going to do it this way. First, my very special partners from the community of Buffalo who have been known to you, known to Buffalo for many, many years. But there are three partners that I had indicated back in the November board meeting that we would like to have a special partnership, and you provide services to help our students, particularly around their social emotional needs coming out of this long period of COVID that we have been in. It has affected our children's social emotional and overall health and wellness more than anything else. So let me start with our esteemed Reverend Gelsey. If you could stand up and say who you are.
I'm Bishop Frederick A. Gelsey, CEO of Community Solution Foundation. We find problems in the community and solve them. Also homicide education.
Thank you, sir. Pastor Giles, longtime leader in the community, and certainly for Peacemakers, if you could stand up and introduce yourself and your colleagues who are here with you today.
I am Pastor James Giles, coordinator for the Western New York Peacemakers, of which you see representatives here today. Pastor Kenny Simmons representing Mad Dance, Lenny Lane representing the Fathers, Murray Holman representing Stop the Violence Coalition, Pastor Tim Newkirk representing GYC Ministries. We are collective, engaged in safe passage, making sure our children are exiting school safe, as well as mentoring.
Thank you, sir. And also Mia Ayers, who is the leader of our MVP, Most Valuable Parents. I believe Keith Matthews is here, and he has some of his colleagues as well. Sir.
Good afternoon. Keith Matthews, Special Affairs Coordinator for Most Valuable Parents Buffalo MVP. I have one of my colleagues with me here, Ms. Jacqueline Kroom. We have, I believe, 2-3 other members of MVP out in the audience. And we are here to support our school, our superintendent, and all of our community leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Colleagues, suffice it to say that this is our esteemed staff that have come today. We have the building leadership that is here. Very proud for them to be here. If you could just stand up, the building leadership that is here today, and say your name.
Good afternoon, Dr. Danielle Ware.
Dr. Danielle Ware.
Elizabeth Canella.
Elizabeth Canella. Karen Kibler.
Solomon Jackson.
Solomon Jackson. John Pilato. Thank you. This is the leadership of McKinley right now. And I'll introduce the new principal in just a moment, even though he's not here right now. The rest of our staff are the executive team, my cabinet in effect, and I won't introduce them right now. Suffice to say that they're here in support of all the work that is being done and that will be done in the weeks ahead. Colleagues, let me first say that there are understandable reasons why this moment creates so much anxiety and worry in all of us. That was a traumatic event that occurred on Wednesday here, just on the outskirts of this campus. It affected all of us. And so we in no way want to diminish the impact of that on our total school community, all of our school community. And so this morning, you heard from the mayor and you heard from the district attorney about the status of the investigation, about the imminent arrest of at least one suspect, and the fact that the investigation will continue until we have gotten the full understanding of what happened on that day. So I won't repeat or go over any of that. Those questions can remain with the district attorney and with the mayor. I want to thank the mayor and commend the mayor for his comments this morning. I think that they were spot on, particularly about the relationship, the partnership that we have, the outstanding service all year long that the Buffalo Police Department and all of his law enforcement colleagues have provided to the Buffalo Public Schools. This year has been phenomenal with the support, particularly of Lieutenant Craig and Chief Young. They're with us almost every day, helping to address and triage issues that may be occurring across the district on any given day. So thank you, Mayor Brown, for all that you said, but particularly in saying that this is not about a high school. This is not about the Buffalo Public Schools and anything to that nature. What it is about is how can we support children, students, families who are in crisis. And we do have anywhere from 2 to 3% of our students who are in crisis. 2 to 3%. So let's be clear. I have 31,000 students, rounded off, 31,000 students. There are 958 students in McKinley High School. 30 students this year have had level 4 or level 5 incident violations of our code of conduct. Most of those are simple assaults, fights is what that means. 30. And that means that's about 3% of the McKinley High School population. Of the 31,000 students across the district, there are 640, 650 students who have had level 4 or level 5 violations, representing 2% of our total student population. And so those are the students that we're wrapping around. Those are the students that these colleagues are going to help us support and strengthen and bolster our support. Pastor Giles and his team, for example, are going to be with us every day, before school, after school, supporting about 25 to 30 students in about 5 schools, some of our higher incident schools in the city. McKinley is one of those. But there's also IPrep, there's also MST, there's also Emerson and schools, one other school, and places around the city where our kids get on buses, both yellow buses and high school transportation, the NFTA. He's going to help support those students, focusing in on their needs, their growth and developmental needs, and how we can help put them back on a positive track. The MVP partnership will work with the families of those 25 to 30 students at each of these 5 schools and locations. So there's a knitted partnership that we think will add value and add benefit. We already have a lot of support, always have in our staff, but it is great to know that we will have additional partners now going forward. And of course, Reverend Gelsey has been saying for a long, long time, colleagues, that what our young people listen to, what goes in their head through music and through social media, that is affecting not only their brains and their development, but it affects their behavior in a significant way. Too many of our youth, not all, but too many are spending 12, 13 hours or more a day on the cell phone and through social media tools. He's going to help us disrupt that, help us give our young people a different way to listen, to learn, and to support one another. So I'm very pleased about that. The other thing that the mayor said this morning was that we have so many programs that are positive in our schools that help young people. So we want them in school. Kids come to school because of great teachers, and they come to school because of the activities that are going on in the school, and they come to school to see each other. That's why they come to school. And that's why they come to the great McKinley School. And let me tell you, about the great McKinley School. The McKinley High School is one of our very best high schools. It's one of the best high schools in the region, and I would argue, for what it does as a career and technical focused school, one of the best high schools in the country. And that's a long-standing tradition here. The students are absolutely fabulous, energetic, smart, talented, and they're led every day by a very talented group of teachers, teacher assistants, food service workers, and of course the admin team. And I want you to know that. They win awards every year. They've won national awards often. They have a tremendous array, a wide array of programs in CTE that serve other communities than I've ever seen in a high school. And today, in recognition of the Black and Orange, there were many high schools, at least a half dozen, that wore orange and black today in solidarity with their colleagues here at McKinley High School. They did that on their own, colleagues. Colleagues, at the somber event that occurred on Wednesday, while we have 5 security officers that are employed and stationed here every day, 5. At the time of this incident, it was about a half hour or more beyond dismissal, and there were only 2 security officers that were remaining, and those 2 chose to remain because they wanted to make sure the kids were safe and got on their buses in a timely way and dispersed walking expeditiously. Those 2 heroic security officers employed by the Buffalo Public Schools, I want to acknowledge in a special way right now. Mr. Bradley Walker, the young man that was shot in the leg, home, went to the hospital briefly, and then was dismissed as an outpatient, and he was home that night. And thank God that he was not injured severely. The doctors that attended to him said it was somewhat miraculous the way that bullet went around his tibia or calf and out. But you know what the young man said when I called him? He cried that Mayor and I would call him different times, of course. And he was so grateful for the call. But more importantly, he said, Dr. Cash, I love the students of McKinley High School. I was there to protect them. I would never leave them until they were safe. And he said that I can't wait until I get back, get well enough to do so. I'm going to be right back to McKinley High School. I formed those kind of relationships with those kids. And I know they need me. And frankly, in these times, I need them. And that's what he told me. And then Jennifer Little, a veteran school security guard employed at McKinley, when she saw that her colleague, Mr. Walker, was injured, she went immediately to his side and kneeled down and began to provide pressure and I guess a makeshift tourniquet to make sure that he was okay. And she stayed with him until the ambulance came and took him away. Those are 2 heroes. They don't want to be called that. They don't see themselves that way. But that's who we are. That's the kind of people that work for the Buffalo Public Schools. That's the kind of people that work for McKinley schools, McKinley High School, every day. And so let's keep a perspective on this, colleagues, please. We've hired a new principal. That was in the works weeks before the incident, unfortunate incident on Wednesday. Not everybody raises their hand to step up to take high school principals once they get comfortable and know the students and staff of their present high school. It's hard for them to get to move because they feel they have made a difference there, and they feel they owe that student body their service. But when I called for someone I said, I need people to step up. We got to patch and heal that culture over there. I need strong leadership. Who will do it? And Mr. Moustafa Khalil stepped up from his role at East High School and said, I will go to McKinley High School, sir. I welcome the opportunity to go to McKinley High School. And he started yesterday. And on his very first day, when reaching out to the faculty and the staff, they were very appreciative, and the parents, they applauded his arrival. They were grateful to see him, and I know he'll do a great job in resetting the culture and the climate here at the great McKinley High School. So that's change number one, priority change number one, that is part of now the introduction into the reopening plan. It is a 5-page document. It is detailed, and it includes major portions like staffing. We have 16, for example, teacher aides and assistants here. We had 6. I've added 10 more. They have 16. But I had already done that before Wednesday. But 16 aides and assistants for a school like McKinley is substantial, and it's a good additional support. As I already mentioned, we have 5 security guards. We're going to hire additional behavioral specialists. We have an additional assistant principal that I already had hired in the beginning of the year, because we had novice administrators here for the most part. In their first 3 years, it takes you at least 5 years to get your sea legs as an administrator, especially in public urban education. So those changes have occurred. We've made a number of adjustments to our already strong social emotional supports curriculum under the excellent leadership of Dr. Tanja Williams, who is our Chief of Student Support Services. We've made a change in our operational structure so that we could reset the climate and culture, making sure that every minute of the day has adequate supervision and coverage. This is a large high school with many, many exits and entrances. All of those had to be secured, had to be reassessed, and the hallway, bathroom, every room, every passage of classes all needed to be bolstered and made more robust in terms of the scheduling of what was going on there. We've done that. We've begun to reach out and have initial conversations with parents and students, particularly those who seem to be most affected and stressed over the occurrence. We made specific outreach and have already talked with those parents and those students through, again, Dr. Tanja Williams. She has done that herself. I put her doing that herself along with her team. We also have continued to strengthen and bolster and provide more training in the academic realm with the ability to shift in an agile manner between remote learning and in-person learning. And we feel we're going to need to be really, really fine-tuned on that over the next couple of weeks, because we will be possibly moving in between remote and in person until we get back from the February 21st through the 28th break. Now, we will start on the 14th, Monday the 14th, but it'll be a day where we really want to talk and engage teachers and the parents more fully. We're starting tomorrow, but it's volunteer tomorrow. So tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to pay for a professional day, but teachers who want to come in person and be with us tomorrow morning from 9 to 12 will come in, have conversations and healing dialogue, restorative dialogue with each other and with our principals, so that we can hear from them about what they would like to see and will be helpful, both their ideas as well as their professional expertise of I'm willing to do. See, I'm willing to do. That starts tomorrow. We're going to also, because it was already planned, have an extraordinary program with MBK and the MBK scholars under the leadership of our Dr. Fatima Morel tomorrow morning, where she has a session with about 80 participants, and they're going to have a remarkable learn-in and training experience tomorrow morning. She's the best in her field, period. And that brings in students from McKinley as well as students from all over the district to come and share experiences in the great cultural tradition of African Americans, especially. That's a special focus tomorrow because it's Black History Month. So that will continue. I've said Zaire, that's Zaire Dorsey, really good coach here at McKinley. McKinley is in first place in the boys basketball team, and I didn't want to pause them for a week and a half, because those kids are motivated and excited, and the school spirit is behind that team right now. So I told them, you can come in and practice tomorrow from 4 until, because they're headed to the tournament. Boys and girls. I said if the girls are headed as well, they come in and practice. Colleagues, the reason there were so many kids here on Wednesday is because we were having after-school programming. We had bands, we had music, we had academic enrichment. There's over 150 kids here on Wednesday. Nobody was milling around and looking to start anything. They were here because it was part of the academic day. And that's why they were staged over in the cafeteria until they could be released by the BPD. They were engaged in vital learning, enriching activities. Nobody's standing around trying to get in a fight. I want to be clear about that. Colleagues, this reopening plan is extraordinary. I've commended my team for what they have built so far. We will start on Monday. We will be working with teachers, aides and assistants, cafeteria workers, custodians, encore specialists. Everybody that is a staff member at this school will be engaged in the reset. That's exciting to me. And then the kids will be brought back probably on Tuesday, and they'll be brought back in phases. 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, so that we can continue to assess who's who, what's what, and where our special trouble spots might be, so we can get immediately the assistance that they need and bring back the culture to what it always has been. Now finally, colleagues, I just want to say that it's the greatest joy and pleasure of my life to serve the Buffalo Public Schools. It's a great city, it's a great staff, and you have a real treasure in your Buffalo Public Schools. What I won't deal with, because I'm old now, and I've been through 5 of these superintendents. And Buffalo, just a mid-sized town. It's not even a big town. They think they're a big town, but it's really not a big town. It's a big, small town. And what I've never seen is how folks take their most treasured institution. That's what you got here in Buffalo. You got the Buffalo Public Schools. That's your most treasured institution in this city. Period. And what I won't do is let anybody continue to trash and bash, bash and trash and bash your school system. It's yours over and over and over again. Your city won't go anywhere. You won't even get out of the blocks if you don't have an excellent public school system. And you know what? You got one. You got one. This system is recognized now all over the country as a proof point for progress. It's a proof point for progress. Talk to your real customers. Talk to your students. Talk to all the parents, not just 1 or 2. And you'll see that the Buffalo Public Schools is more of a pride point than it is something to be disparaged. Now, there's always room for improvement. This work is never over. Improvement is a way of life. I hope you're trying to improve as a reporter. I hope your news station trying to improve as a news station. It's a way of life, improvement. And so I will always push the envelope. But while we do that, we look at ourselves as a great city and a school system of excellence. And if you want it to be better, then you do better. You help be part of the solution. It's easy to talk from the cheap seats. It's easy from up there. Get into work. I'm talking to the community now. Get into work. And that's why I'm so proud of these partners, because they're going to be full in the work, always have been. And we welcome community participation, feedback on how we can continue to be better. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. We are now open for questions. And if there's anything specific that I can't answer, my staff is here to help me out, as they always have been. Let's start. And I'm going to have Karan helpful, because I don't want everybody speaking at once. Let's raise your hand, let me know, and then we'll go and give you everybody a chance to go. So I heard you first. You get the first question.
There are a lot of parents who on Wednesday said that after this incident, they're concerned they don't want to ever bring their kids back to school. Do you think that this is enough to say we're going to try and do this reset to really help get those fears and anxieties out of these parents' minds?
I do. I absolutely do. Because we have 958 students enrolled here. We'll start to look at whether that enrollment and that attendance and all of that comes to fruition. But it's not what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is they can't wait to get back. They want to be back. I know you can attest to that, right? And so that's what we're going to do. I don't see any of our schools that don't want to be at their school. They love their school. The tradition here is a great, great tradition. And this could happen anywhere. This is not a McKinley thing. This is something that could happen anywhere at any time. And it is all across the country. We're just fortunate. We're fortunate and blessed, knock on wood, because I worry about this every day, all day. I don't sleep well, worrying about my children. But it could happen anywhere. So no, the parents should feel safe to come to school. We're going to be reaching out and talking to you, and there's no better specialist than Dr. Williams to help those parents feel safe enough and have the tools they need to come back, and their children will be safe. So if you get those parents' names, tell them to reach out to you, you give them to us, and we'll make a special reach out to them. Thank you for your question. I saw somebody over here. Okay, you. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I thank you for your question. I'll be honest, I don't have the answer to that. I don't know that I had that report through the vehicles that report to me about all the incidents at level 4 and 5 that are happening. We would be calling that elopement, I think. That's like a level 3 breach, but did you hear? Excuse me? She's saying he left at dismissal. I don't know the he, but to the question, because you must have heard about it, she's saying he left at dismissal, so it was not early in the day. I'm not sure the question. I mean, we have, yeah, not without a parent signing off, okay? This young lady.
Sure. You said you have 5 security officers.
Yes.
Do you have any SROs, if not, like, permanently assigned to the school? If there aren't any, have you asked this for help? And on Tuesday, when kids come back, will there be a noticeable police presence?
A noticeable police presence. Okay, I thank you for your question. I thank you for it's a fair question. It's a fair question. What you heard this morning from Mayor Brown is that if the school district asks for additional support, he will grant it. And what I did ask him, short answer is no, we don't have SROs assigned here right now. But I said, Mayor Brown, could you, for a few weeks, let's say to the end of March, could you provide several officers to drive by, stop out front, come in, do sort of a check around the school, talk with the admin team, say, is there anything you need help with, any assistance I can provide for the next several weeks through March? And he said, yes, Doc, absolutely. So we will have 2 officers assigned here, SROs, through the end of March, and longer if we need it, but we don't anticipate that we will need it. We think we will be fully reset by that time. Who will what? Is that you, Jeff? Is that you? Jeff, okay, I can't see you with the red. Thank you for that, Jeff, question. So, colleagues, you heard the question? My understanding, because it's fresh off the printing press, is that you will be here, you will have people assigned in these various schools all day.
Yes, not only.
But if you could come and speak to it, that would be great.
Hey Jeff. We will have a contingent outside as individual students are entering school. That's part of the safe passage. We will also have a presence inside the school working with individuals that the administration says that, listen, can you talk to this individual, right? Or they deem that may be problematic. So we'll be inside all day doing that kind of thing. And then outside, at the end of school during dismissal, we will also have a presence outside.
And they will be paid. Yes. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. I think that's an excellent question. Thank you for that. We need more updated metal detectors. We have metal detectors, and we do have a program underway under the leadership of Fred Wagstaff that we randomly wand students all across the district every day, randomly, because it takes a long time, and we don't want students feeling like a few people. As I said, we only have 30 students that are sort of giving us run for the money out of 900, almost 1,000 students. So we don't want all those students every day to feel like they have done something, you know, to be wanded and put through a metal detector. But we need the new technology, and so that is underway. We just today, I signed a rush order to expedite getting this new, I forget what it's called, but it's a new technology that allows you to put 500 people at a time in just a few minutes, metal detection. So we think that's state of the art. It's on its way. The other issue is walkie-talkies. We need to have updated and upgraded walkie-talkies. Ours are antiquated, and that will help staff, wherever they are in the building, be able to communicate quickly and immediately so that we can dispatch personnel wherever and whenever we need to. So those two technology upgrades dealing with safety is already underway, and I appreciate the question. Yes. How long? What's that? Yeah, as I said, 16 incidents across the board of incidents. I'm happy to share the data for you. We look at it, not that many. For a large high school, I think that's you, I remember you. That's not a lot. It is not. So let me be clear that we have done our very best to reset. I have had Toya Wilson, as I said, one of my top high school associates for school leadership. She's over here herself all day on many a day while we're in this transition period to get a new principal in here. See, the one thing that's tough is that we've had this transition this year trying to establish with mostly new administrators, mostly. When I say new, we call new novice in your first 3 years. And so now we can solidify and stabilize that team with Mr. Khalil coming over. And all of that you'll see, I think, relatively quickly, you'll see a settling of McKinley High School. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a fair question. We were just talking about this afternoon, so you want to help? All right, Ms. Wilson will come up and help me with that. Thank you for your question.
So thank you. Good afternoon. First, I can't start speaking before I acknowledge and thank the McKinley MAC faculty and staff who work tirelessly every single day to support our students. As Dr. Cash said, I've been here quite a bit, and I've seen firsthand what they do day in, day out. Understanding what happened on Wednesday, so many went above and beyond. There were many heroes, and you will be learning about them over time, but there's no other way. I feel like they need a round of applause. There are some here today, some staff here. So we're looking at a phased approach. We really want to have the opportunity to continue to focus in on these small groups of teachers, students, families. And so we have a phased approach that will kick off next week. And this approach will be by grade level, and that communication will be going out to the McKinley MAC families later on today. And each grade level will know which day they are returning, and we will have, of course, the setup ready for them to go as far as engaging them in this work, and they will continue to be engaged remotely in this work.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're not able to say this grade on Tuesday, this grade on
Have we gotten it down to the grade yet? They're working on it right now. But will it be by grade level? It'll be by grade level, you can say that. Probably one or two more, and we'll close. It's underway. It's underway, and it's constantly happening with Fred Wagstaff, our executive director. But now we can build that in to our plan, to who's where at what time during the day, and if there is no exit that is not covered. Some of that was just a little bit better deployment because they do have the resources to do it. So we'll do that. Now on the communication issue, I'm sorry, Jeff. Do you need to repeat any of it? Okay. On the communication piece, on that day, I'll certainly apologize if folks felt like they didn't get timely communication from the district. That is always our primary skill that you have to have: communication, communication, communication. And certainly, we will continue to do better. I will say, it was just a tough time of day. Anytime you have dismissal, and we weren't really sure who was on site because it became a crime scene pretty quickly, and then the BPD took over the crime scene, and all of their associates, the FBI, the Sheriff's Department, and the SWAT team, and so forth, they were in charge of the scene and the crime scene. So I know that Dr. Ramona Reynolds told me that if this all happened around 3:45, I think by a little after 4:30, 4:40, we had begun to send out our parent communication notifications for McKinley. So if we're off, we were off by 45 minutes to an hour. What we couldn't tell and say is, when will your child be released? Because there were a lot of parents over here waiting for the children to be released from the cafeteria, understandably so. But I couldn't speak to that. That needed to be spoken to by the Buffalo Police. And what my understanding is that they had to interview everybody before they could be released. And if you have 150 or more students gathered, 150 interviews, it's going to take some time. And so that was where some of the angst and anxiety was, is when are they going to be released? Where's my kid? What's happening to my kid? So I understand that, and as I said, I apologize. It's a good question. They don't leave before dismissal, but their contract calls that they can leave at dismissal. And so, as I said, this happened about 3:45, somewhere around there, and dismissal is about 3:18, 3:20, 3:25. So it wasn't that much difference, but they did not leave before dismissal. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh yeah. They'll be there for that. But keep in mind, colleagues, there's 12 buses, big buses, that are staged right out. Right out here every day. 12, and you have to wait until everybody gets on and buses disperse. So that's a 25-minute process right there. So. Yeah, it would have been great if everybody was right there and said, I'm going to stay and do that kind of thing. But it's part of the cultural reset that we're doing, because it doesn't have to just be security guards. It can be any number of folks that we can pay an additional stipend or an additional hourly wage so that they can all have more than adequate coverage, sort of like a 4-to-1 ratio, 5-to-1 ratio for the students who are out there for about 20, 25 minutes. So all of that is part of the plan. But I thank you for that question. All right, we're going to start to wrap up now. Yes, ma'am. Right, it's a good question. I've done that through the year. We had a couple of hot spots for a while down where we have 5 high schools, colleagues, or at least 4. What is it? Charter, Buff Science, Charter School, Emerson, 2, 1, 2, that's 3, Hutch Tech, and that's it, right? Huh? Who else?
Occupational Training Center.
Who?
Occupational Training Center.
Oh, OCC. So we have 5 high schools right there. And if you go straight up Chippewa, what's that station called?
Fountain Plaza.
Fountain Plaza. That was a hot spot for a while, colleagues. 5 schools converging, kids coming from all over the city. And I asked Mayor Brown to give me 2 officers to be posted there right at dismissal. And he did that for quite some time. So that spot, though, has calmed down, right? And so we've redeployed in some other places. So bottom line, whatever we ask for, he will help. But what I don't want to do is put security if it really isn't what is needed there. See, if you overweight it, then you have a different kind of environment. And I want the kids and the staff and the people that they know every day to be the ones that are in these places. And that's what we want to get back to quickly. But in the interim, we'll do that and look at these spots. There is no magical point on that. There is no magical point on that. You could have a lot of incidents, but they're not stabbings and shootings. See? You could have 1 stabbing, as we've seen, and 1 shooting, and so it's not the number of incidents, it's the nature of the incidents. And that's what we want to make sure we have maximum protection and safety for our communities on those issues. Yeah, we had actually begun that about a month ago because we just felt coming off of the December break, we had a lot of issues around COVID, Omicron. Remember, it was raging and very high number of incidents and cases. We were having staffing shortages. People were calling out sick, and we had a lot of different roles that make up a school. There's at least 11 or 12 roles and positions that make up a complex high school. And in each of those areas, we were having to have substitutes. Substitutes were short, didn't have enough. And so when you get your staff pared down to where it's almost at the bare minimum, I said we've got to get some additional thoughts into this. I got to get a plan, or we're going to be at a risky position. Not just because of students doing anything violent or like we had on Wednesday, but because the academics then doesn't really become academics. That's more babysitting. You're just holding people because you don't have enough teachers and so forth. When we were close to that point, and of course, idle time, right? So we needed to reboot, and we started that. Then what we're really doing now is just building out that plan and making it even more robust. That's what we're doing right now. All right, colleagues, I appreciate you. I'm on my way, okay? Anytime. Thank you. Thank you for coming, man.